So it's really nice that our show is going on like a show a little bit, so it's not that boring. Nevertheless, our next speaker is Subhrajit Barua, and he will tell us about agriculture in space. Why it is important. We know that someday humanity will strive for other planets, for outer space. And it's interesting that it took about 2 kilos of dewatered food content per day per one person on orbit. And if it's going around the globe, around the Earth, it's not a big problem to resupply, just costly. But if it's a man-planned mission on Mars, so it's not possible to resupply. And the only way to supply the food is to carry on the food with them, and it comes to some tons of load, which is really expensive. The other solution is to bring their food at their place, so to grow the food in space. And we have several challenges. It's a loss of gravity, it's a lack of normal condition for plants to grow. And how to do it, let's talk about that. Subhrajit, welcome.
You legend. Whenever I listen to this music, it gives me goosebumps all across my body. By the way, how many of you present here did get goosebumps? Please raise your hand if you got goosebumps listening to this music. I can see quite a number of hands out there, and I can't deny this epic movie called Interstellar really showed something which moved my heart. It inspired me, it motivated me to look beyond what we can see on our dear planet Earth. By the way, all of you who are not introduced to this movie, I really love this quote from this movie which says, "The end of Earth is not necessarily the end of us." And this movie was based on a scientific fiction that was written by somebody. Or was it? Is it a fiction or is it reality? Well, in this movie, we saw a scene where there was a cornfield which was so polluted, so dry, that crops could not grow on this land at all. While this was a movie, this particular image is reality. This is an image on Earth where the land has been hit by drought, and that has led to the failure of agriculture. While all of you just enjoyed break almost 30 minutes ago, you enjoyed the delicious cheese and the delicious salads and the drinks out there. All around the world, there's not 1,000, not 10,000, but 258 million people in 58 different countries who are struggling to even manage a square meal every day. And these are not my words. This is based on 2023's Global Report on Food Crisis. Even the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals have recognized this issue, and their number 2 priority is to achieve zero hunger by 2030. But do you think, my dear friends, that in the next 6 years, we will achieve zero hunger? Is it possible? How many of you believe that by 2030, we will achieve zero hunger? Please raise up your hands once again. Not a surprise. I don't even see a single hand up there. Well, I'm with you guys. I believe that it will take decades to address this issue, and it's gonna get worse. And by then, we will not only have 258 million hungry people, but 258 starved to death people on Earth. Let's quickly take a look around what are the causes of these food crises. While there are many, The most prominent ones are climate change, of course. All of us know how climate change is hitting us day by day. Urbanization, while we are building beautiful cities and beautiful shopping malls, we are causing deforestation. We are cutting down trees, we are engaging cultivable lands, and that's taking a toll on the food that is available for us. And of course, economic recessions in the past few years after the pandemic did impact our food industry as well. Now, my question to all of you is, do you think we will be able to find a solution to this crisis in the next few years? Can we achieve a global scenario where there is no more food hunger people? There's no more crisis of crops that are being cultivated? Well, I think while there are many brilliant minds working behind it to achieve that, it's not so easy. And therefore, while we are already looking for solutions here on Earth, we can start looking up, we can start looking higher, we can start looking beyond Earth. And today I'm here to talk to you about space farming, the concept, the idea of utilizing space to grow our food and our crops. Well, I can already hear some murmurs and some doubts amongst our audience. Farming in space? How is that even possible? A human being, if he goes to space, he needs to wear such bulky space suits. The entire environment in space is so hostile, then how can we grow these fragile plants? Well, I agree with you. Space is a dangerous environment. And there are several reasons why farming in space is really challenging. First of all, there's no soil in space. Even if we consider different planets, we call it regolith, because this is not exactly the composition of soil that we have on Earth. So these regoliths are unfavorable. There's high radiation out there in space. And of course, there's low gravity. It's not zero gravity, but it's microgravity. But again, we are human beings. We have faced challenges all throughout our lives, all throughout our history. We have discovered fire, we have invented wheels, so why can't we solve this challenge? And that's exactly what we are trying to do. First of all, let's address the issue of ionizing radiation. Scientists have come up with concepts of underground farming, or even such protective compounds, as you can see in the image, where you can grow food which are shielded from this high ionizing radiation. And that has seemed to work. While still a hypothesis and it's being tested out, there's promise. Let's move on to microgravity. This was an experiment that was done in space in microgravity, and you can see the leaf sizes in microgravity are pretty higher. And it's not just that. There are different stress responses as well, different genes of stress that are highly regulated and highly expressed in microgravity. There's difficulty in the capillary action of plants taking up water because it's working harder, and there's no gravity to help it come down. But all of these challenges are still being taken care of with the help of artificial gravity on board the space station, or wherever these astronauts will make a habitat, maybe it on Moon or on Mars. But one of the challenges which is really interesting to me is how can we grow crops on a different terrain? All of you remember Apollo 11, Apollo 17 missions to the Moon, and scientists at NASA tried to grow plants on these soils. While in the picture you can see that these seedlings are growing pretty comfortably and healthy, unfortunately, after a few weeks, they died. So there's a major challenge of growing food, of growing plants in different types of terrains on different planets. While you can use fertilizers, that was shown in the movie The Martian, Matt Damon used his own excreta, his own waste. NASA scientists again deny that this would be a reality. We might not use human excreta directly because it's not controlled. We need more controlled medium. And therefore, we can look towards these solutions, which are already in practice on Earth, like aeroponics, hydroponics, and vertical farming with the help of controlled environment agriculture, or CEA. These solutions don't require medium. We create those medium. They are not grown on soil. So these might be a good solution to our problems. But there's another problem here. All of these systems require continuous monitoring to monitor all the parameters, all the different features and the factors. Now imagine an astronaut sitting there in the vertical farms in the space station all day long and monitoring all of these parameters. Is it really feasible? Because on the space station there are around 8 or 10 astronauts at a time. So definitely it's really intensive and it requires a lot of time. But what if we can devise something where astronauts do not need to take care of these parameters at all? So we are trying to develop a smart system with the help of sensors that can monitor all of these parameters, and we can use a web interface to determine the values of these parameters that is suitable for a particular type of crop. And accordingly, this system will autonomously control and give you feedbacks. Let me show you an example. So this is a small prototype that we are trying to develop at our own lab. And here in your mobile phone, you get notifications of all the different parameters. And if you set a particular value, then it automatically regulates all of these parameters. Now, what are these parameters? Well, these parameters are soil humidity or the humidity of the medium, the pH, and temperature for now. And this system updates every 3 seconds. For now, we are working on these 3 parameters, but we are definitely looking forward to expand it and making it more robust in the future. And this technology would not only be used in space, but also have applications here on Earth, because we have a lot of barren lands where we cannot grow crops, like the deserts or even the permafrost region. But with this kind of technology, we would be able to use this unlimited resource of land and therefore grow crops which can help us mitigate the problem of hunger all around the world. And this is not the first time that we are using a technology built for space here back on Earth. From the GPS system in your mobile phones to photographic camera to the headphones that you are wearing to the sports shoes or sunglasses, all of these were first developed for applications and use in space, and then it became popular here on Earth and we started using them in our daily lives. So maybe in the future, this kind of farming technology would also be a household thing in our own society. So I hope that with the help of this technology, we would be able to motivate and encourage circular economy, and as a result, defeat the problem of hunger. Well, I don't know how many of you had the opportunity to meet an astronaut or a cosmonaut or an astronaut candidate, but I got to meet one of them last year in Paris, and she said that astronauts not only crave healthy green salads in space, but they also really miss the visuals of green plants, the texture of leaves, the sound when the leaves rush against each other, because that's natural here on Earth. So I hope we would be able to grow crops in space with the help of all these new technologies, and that would ensure a better life and a better healthy lifestyle for astronauts in space. So that's all I had for you all today. Thank you so much for being an amazing audience, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me or send me an email at this email ID. Thank you so much. Bye everyone.
Thank you, Subhrajit. It was really interesting for us to listen, and even more interesting for everybody to think about it. So your presentation made us think about how we should look higher to the practically what's grown lower on Earth. And we really thank you, and I hope that all of you will ask questions during the coffee break.
Sure,
thank you very much, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Have a great night.
Our next speaker